Sorry, I was muted. I was muted. Yes, today is actually not a very good day for me. I came over here basically to make sure that I speak to the Liberian people about something that is very, very concerning. Um because yesterday, there were noise all around when people got missing, when people got killed, when people died in a mysterious circumstance. There were noise all around to make sure that justice is served. In the case of the crimes yesterday, the perpetrators were not identified. In today's crime, the victims are alive and they seem to identify the perpetrators. Let me focus on this issue of rape that has claimed attention of many in Liberia, but it has not been presented more horribly and graphically than it was presented in recent days. Here is a little boy of 15 years old who was brutally raped by a gang of older men past 40 lying so faintly in the hospital, begging for life, begging for life. This could be your brother.
Okay. Okay.
This could be your brother, your little brother. This could be your son. This could be your nephew.
You see the thing can be coming.
Look at him
You
there.
can feel the thing will come out, then will go back.
Look at him there.
Now the bad blood. So you can feel the thing coming out. But when it's coming down, you know, clear back.
Now that is very graphic. Very, very graphic. It is very, very graphic. It is very, very graphic. That is somebody's son. That is somebody's son lying down helpless because he fell victim with from a group of men who pulled over him and gang raped him. It's a horrible thing. But the good thing is that we know the victim, identify those people. That is a lead for the police and others who are involved with the investigation to be able to take up from. Now, there was a recent video of the mother of the boy crying that one of the perpetrators who was taken to the South Beach was released. Welcome, Kamakova.
Yo, what's up?
Yes, so basically today, uh, I just want to, I want for us to talk about the case of the rape, the gang rape of this little boy. Let me play the video again. I just played. Let me play the video again, and we can just talk about it.
Now the bad blood. So you can feel the thing coming out. But when it's coming down, you know, clear back, or when it's coming up, I see something like that. So I sweet swelling. Things that when you drop, they come over.
They were strong, very fighting. Papa, you overcome it. Your life is a living testimony.
Take some of it, take time.
Yeah, so that is the young man, 15 years old, who was gang raped by guys older, above 40, three men. One of them is certain was arrested. The other two are at large. And those photo came from the mother who took the photos to let the Liberian people know the pains and suffering her son is going through. I am not aware at this moment who is footing the bills for the boy to undergo treatment, but he's going through a lot of excruciating pain. And this is something that we are living with currently. Welcome, Professor Kofa. You can have your say on that.
Thank you, comrade. Yeah, watching the video is this very disheartening, to see a young man to suffer like that is heartbreaking, you know. I don't think any parent would like to see their child to bear, such a pain. And I'm not sure how it all happened. I only just saw, just the little ball on the ground from the ground.
Yeah, so this case involved this little boy. I think he has some acquaintance with uh, an official of government, particularly a deputy director at the NSA.
Yeah.
Yes, and the little boy was invited, according to the story, was invited to the by this official, and then
Mhm.
at the end of the day, uh, he had two other persons
Okay.
that collectively gang raped the little boy, and the family claimed to know this official, and they claimed that uh, the official promised to buy, I think, a football boots for the little boy, and that is what the little boy was running after in with the official. So police investigated, and I think they forwarded the case to court. But what prompted this video is the allegation that the mother's allegation that this fellow who was placed behind bar at the central prison was outside. Yeah, the mother alleged that the perpetrator was let out. Let me play the video from the mother.
Good morning. Yes, I'm the mother of the victim, the 15 years old. So have to give him penta injection. Rest when he need go in the bathroom. When his anus ready to hurt him, his back, his stomach, they will give him penta injection. Because at the time we took him, I call the lawyer and show him the photo. At the time they said how the boy already on the VIP ward, on the private ward, that patient and nurses were paying attention to him. They were seeing him and things. But still the pain was worse on him. The pain was worse. The pain was still on him and he was not still using the bathroom. The pain was just worse. So like how they asked me, like how they think can happen to him, like why you so happy the nurses? I said like why you so happy, but the doctor like was down there the nurses. When the people came, they said they didn't see anything. So that's the reason why anything that happening to him, I can come call. So like you're already in his fire. So when the doctor came, like how they call him, they explain they were writing and thing. He came, he said, oh, Bonnet, I will check you.
But the doctor said was helping to break me down, calling Boa or surgeon doctor from JFK. When he came out there, he was talking to the boy the way in which he was reacting with another male that was standing beside him. Acting like a labor faking thing or so. Like how, I don't know whoever talked to him or so. He went on Wednesday, which was the 4th.
Yeah, so in that interview, she mentioned somewhere in an interview. I didn't get the exact clip, but she mentioned somewhere that somebody saw this guy outside. He's not in prison. He's not in prison. So the government, the government then came up with the government then came up with a statement to say that the guy is still in prison. They came up with a clarification. But the clarification they came up with from the part of the information ministry, they were they said that the perpetrators are still in prison, meaning there's more than one. But from the justice ministry, they only talked about this one individual that they were able to send to Saw Beach. Because what we know was that the rest of the people are at large, and the boy claimed that there were more than one person that sodomized him. So this is the situation that we have in Liberia, and we can only call on the Liberian government to pay attention to this and see how the boy can get justice.
You're right. I heard the mother saying the medical doctor tried to behave like the boy is faking the pain or something. And I don't know to what extent our system can be trusted. That is public trust issue with our entire system. The security, the justice system as a whole, the courts, the security, and so it's a difficult thing. But though, I want to go back to the beginning of the whole episode. How I know somewhere you mentioned, the ball, when they know this guy, in the government as, the deputy director of, I don't know, NSA, like maybe apparently like a family friend, or, who the little boy might have considered as an uncle, when in the name of promise, he promised to buy him a football boot. And so went there, to collect this boot from all the money from the uncle, and then this thing happened. I don't know whether there were any establishment, though, whether the little boy was drunk. Where did that happen? That he couldn't yell to call for help when this was happening. All of these issues. Then, if he was unable to cry for help, then it means that either he was intoxicated with some substance for them to have done that. So, it's a kind of laundry of questions that we need to delve into to really understand what really transpired. You know,
Yes, certainly. The thing is, there are fears all around the country now, and what is prompting the fear is that in recent time there was a little girl too who was raped, allegedly raped, and she identified the perpetrator to be somebody who worked around the same area her father worked at, the Ministry of Youth and Sports. and she identified the perpetrator. The police went into all kinds of investigation and say all of the investigation they went through cleared the perpetrator. And Councillor Gonglo, Councillor Gonglo, representing the family, as a private lawyer, requested that they produce the report that exonerated these alleged perpetrators. Yeah, so that is something that we are still looking at. But it was appalling for the police director to come up with a report that states that the perpetrator is free, but meanwhile cannot say very clearly that this girl was tampered with and what other lead they have regarding how this thing happened. Because they said the particular perpetrator was nowhere around where the girl claimed the crime took place. And nobody forced the girl to say what she said. So if she was violated, there must be a perpetrator. It's not possible that there is not a perpetrator. So the police has to have interest in identifying who the perpetrators are. Now, when people look at this, then they begin to wonder whether anything is going to come out of the case of this little boy. And
And
it is possible that the little boy the perpetrator walked free. We can say, oh, it has to be definitely those people that the little boy identified. But we will say that if there was a crime committed, there has to be a perpetrator, and it is the police obligation and duty to be able to identify the perpetrator and bring them to justice.
this is the unfortunate and uh, unthinkable aspect of our government. You know, uh, often things happen in the country. The president never speak on this thing. In this country, even like I'm not talking about the current administration, but when some of us came to this country and President Barack Obama was in chair, he was the president of the United States. I remember, if anything happened, even to a family, the president would talk about that as long as it gain public attention. And then it tells the public and those working under the government, under the president, the kind of weight it carries. You understand? But when this kind of thing are happening to our young kids, and our president remains silent and tight-lipped on these issues, then people can play around it at any time and it wouldn't go anywhere. But if the president has spoken to this issue and ensure that justice be done to those who have done this thing to this young man, it carries weight. It doesn't have to be like a whole town or even citizen as citizen. You president, you are the leader of everyone. What hurts a single person in the country should claim the attention of the government. Even the Minister of Justice should have a press conference on this thing to assure the public. And that's how the governance system should be in this country. See how this lady Gertrude from Arizona, who have been missing for almost 20 days now. It has been on the news. The state sheriff department have been engaged in FBI, everybody working to see if they can bring the perpetrator to justice. All right? They are briefing the people. So the family have hope. The government is involved. And these are the kind of governance system we expect to give the people hope. That poor woman there, her son, the gang rape, gang rape the son. The boy is in excruciating pain. Maybe the woman said doesn't even have it to afford the bills. And no one is talking, So it's saddening. It's saddening. And with the Brian Mangere case you were talking about, the police director said they did an independent DNA examination. He could not produce the entity that conducted the DNA. How do we trust this process? How do we trust the system? But it's all again because we have a leadership that does not care about its citizens.
Yeah, that is certainly so, and it is something that we ought to uh, fight against continuously, because it's not going to change in one instance. It's only going to change if Liberians, especially outside of government, try to bring the government to attention that this is happening. It is going to create a scare in the country. We need to be able to address it so that it makes every Liberian feel safe about the government. The government ought to be responsive, not in one direction, but in every direction, to ensure that it has the duty and it's performing its obligation to protect the Liberian people. And the children protection is our primary, or should be our primary focus. Because if we want to redesign our country, if we want to redirect our country, it is from the children that we are going to start from. It's from the children that we're going to start from. We got to start the education and training from the base. But if these children are not safe, if they are not properly educated, if they are not properly trained, if they cannot be provided proper medical care, then we know that our future is not going to be better. The future of the country is not going to be better, because the future of the country depends on those people. Now, if people start destroying the young people in such a manner, and we don't take that seriously, then it means that we want to, destroy our country. We want to destroy our country. So the police has to listen to these children. They have to follow their leads, and they have to bring the perpetrators to justice. I remember several cases under the WIA administration, but the difference is you could not readily identify the perpetrators. The victims died in the process. They were not pointing to anybody. The police did her investigation. But in this case, the perpetrators the victims are alive, and they're pointing to perpetrators. Now, there are some cases that people need to pay serious attention to. Now, the general saying in the country now is, okay, Prophet Key case was given a fast track. Now, whether the people understand that that was a contempt issue or not, for them, they think that certain cases should be fast track. And if Prophet Key was fast tracked into prison, then the cases that matters, like rape, gang rape, should also be fast tracked. I think they have some point there, and without necessarily making the distinction between these actual cases and those cases involving contempt. I think they are right. We got to be able to accelerate and put cases of rape on the front burner. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. In as much as the government is able to speedily gather evidence and be able to process the case to court, we need to run with it. But such is the time, and Liberia is becoming very scary.
Right, Bo. And that's why I initially said that when this kind of thing happens, it requires the leadership, all right, to speak to them. When the leader of the nation speaks to this kind of thing, you are not just speaking to that one incident at that particular time, but your engagement, your public pronouncement and denunciation of the situation carries weight because other who began rapers will be deterred. And when you punish the, if you punish the aggressor of the victim, other would be aggressor try to beat him and go into their shell, because if they see that punishment that has been meted against this person, they are deterred and they wouldn't want to venture in that. But when we are running a government, or when we are running the affairs of the country on the basis of connection, relationship, and who know you, and poor people continuing to suffer, it's troubling. It's troubling. All right. And I wish the family of that little girl with the Brian McGee situation, they could also, civilly sue him. And then, let him go to now, I know still the plaintiff must adduce the evidence against the defendant in the court, you know. But I know in that one, the bar is not that high. You can bring witnesses who saw it. You're not proving beyond reasonable doubt, because that's a civil case. Okay, the bar is a little lower, so civilly you can even nail him to the cross. Okay, but if they if the institutions that are responsible to handle these things are not doing it, it's scary. And as you rightly said, what's the future of our children? They are struggling with drugs issue, and then they should be victimized at the hands of public officials, and then no one, to be accountable. I mean, no one to account for all of these things. And it's just the same way of connection, connection, connection. I think it's not a good thing. They should claim the attention of the government. I know when that news broke out, there was a guy that was apprehended. I saw him in police carrying him. I think there was another photo where he was smiling, and people were like, "But this guy is in trouble and he's smiling like this." So it requires attention. Honestly, it requires attention. If we have to move forward as a country, we need to pay attention to the little things. When we were in law school in Liberia, the late former Chief Justice and Professor of Law, Emmanuel Balazer, he used to say in his criminal procedure class, he used to say, these are the little things that matter. You got to pay attention to these little things. You may overlook them, but these are the things that they come together and then develop into a bubble, and then they bust, and then the country is there are a lot of chaos in the country. So I hope the leadership can do something about this. What affect a single citizen should affect the entire nation.
Sure, sure, because uh, it is quite disheartening, and we need to call the attention of the police. We need to call the attention of the Ministry of Justice, and we need to call the attention of even the president, as you said, to look at these things. These are the people who you will look at and say, my country is going to do better. My country is going to do better. Now, school is in session, but this little boy is lying in the hospital. He's going to miss his whole year of school. And because his mother can be identified, he himself can be identified. There is a possibility of stigma that will follow this little boy for something that he did not volunteer to do, for something that was not his will or his choice, but he could be stigmatized anyway. So these are things that the government ought to look at. And
Recording in progress. Hi everyone.
um, sorry, well, 1 minute. So these are the things that the government ought to look at and try to transform. I mean, transform the country justice system to be able to provide justice for the poor. We do not know to what extent the government is in fact taking care of the little boy while he is in the hospital. No, but in any case, both the boy and the girl who were raped, they need attention from our government.
I'm not even sure, I was just asking Professor Jemina ChatGPT about, you know, what it will cost for the police to get a DNA analysis machine in that country for these kind of things. Why are we in this age and time, the 21st century, that we should still be taking sample out of Liberia to do DNA analysis? That at about this time we cannot have a DNA center when this kind of thing happen, where we can do the analysis and establish the evidence for prosecution. You know, how much is how much for a DNA machine to that extent that a whole country, a police department cannot afford? I'm seeing some year around $3,000 to $5,000. Maybe they just the basic. Even one is at 49,000. Maybe that could be a more sophisticated one. You cannot tell me that the police or the Ministry of Justice cannot, establish a DNA analysis center for the country in this 21st century to be able to deal with some of the issues so that people who are perpetrators will be accountable. You know, it's so saddening. What are we doing in our country if we cannot afford these little things to help us in this 21st century in terms of how we fight crimes and
Sure.
obtain evidence?
Yeah. No, definitely, because the police crime lab ought to be very equipped. they ought to be very equipped, and DNA machines and DNA, analysts need to be all in the crime, lab. That police must be able to do some analysis of DNA. Now, in the case of the little girl, if, for instance, they did some DNA analysis and McGill is not the person that should be held responsible, then the question is who should be held responsible? Who DNA matches the evidence that was gathered? Whose DNA matches the evidence that was gathered? We gotta know. And if we don't know, then it means that the police is complicit in the crime. Either they're trying to shield Brian McGill, or the they know who did the act and they don't want to bring them up. So these are things that we will be looking at, because the whole essence of the police is to protect the citizens. And if they're not protecting the citizens, then it means that there is something wrong somewhere. There is something wrong somewhere.
So the question now is, granted, all right, a crime has been committed. The girl allegedly, it has been alleged that she was raped. All right. The alleged perpetrator, the police clear him. So the fact that Brian Magay has been cleared and he's not a perpetrator, the specimen that was found does not belong to Brian McGill. Does it mean that the process has ended now because Brian has cleared? So if it is not Brian, why is the police not going after who get that specimen? Because a crime has been committed. So the whole investigation should not stop with McGill. He was the guy accused. But then you went and you did the DNA, you said Magay is not the one. We still have the DNA sample. Can we now go, those that were in that facility around, can we now sample them to see who got this DNA and who did this act? Because Brian is clear now, so that case, no more prosecution. So that girl is raped for nothing, and that's the end of the case. Is that what we are saying?
Yeah, because one thing here is that we saw some of these things, the disappearance of people, people got killed on a mysterious circumstance. And I know that family people also do kill people for various reasons. For example, if you have a huge sum of money and your family people notice that you have a huge sum of money, probably you went and kept the money with one family person. It's very possible for the person to plan to eliminate you, because they know that when they eliminate you, the money is with them. People do things at different times. Not all crimes are committed, by government surrogates. But we had these issues on the previous government, that every crime in the country was either committed by Jefferson Koji or Nathaniel McGill or one of those government officials,
Or Samuel Twe and his
or
brother,
Samuel Tue, yeah, or his brother.
Norris
Now
Twe.
we've gone almost like we are in the third year of this government. We can't be able to establish that any one of those crimes that were committed had any attachment to those people. But those were crimes that were committed yesterday, where the victims were not around to point at the perpetrators.
Absolutely.
Now we turn to today. The victims are around, and in their dying state, they are pointing to a particular person. Now we want to come back. The justice system wants to come back and say, oh, those are not the people who perpetrated the act. Those are not the people who perpetrated the act. The question now is, then who? You know that song we used to sing before. Who stole the cookies from the cookies jar?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
said number one stole the cookies from the cookies jar.
No,
Then you go to number one. Number one say, not me.
not me. Number
Then we
two,
ask
not
the question, then who?
you.
Then we go to number two. Number two say,
Mhm.
so
Number,
if you pass number one and number one is not the one that stole the cookies from the cookies
then
jar,
who
you
did
got to
it?
go to number two. Up to now, the police have not given us update regarding who actually perpetrated the rape on the little girl. If Brian McGee isn't the one.
That's the thing. For me, I watched a lot of, and I'm just saying that because I'm going back to your point that you made, about sometimes when people are murdered, not necessarily that it's, government surrogates or other people. Most time people begin with family members to see, there could be some rift in the family, there could be motive, at least you eliminate the family members, then you move outside. Okay. uh, and in this country, a, a crime may have been committed 40 years ago. That does not mean that they have abandoned it. They still have people who work on old cases file. Code, they call it code file. They try to work on it to see who really committed this crime. And with the innovation, all right, of DNA testing, now AI, now looking at DNA, using DNA to trace ancestry link, you know, all of these modernization are taking place to make investigation as easy as possible. All right. At Within this new dimension, where are we situated? The Ministry of Justice asked for money, they gave them budget. What really is everything just salary? I mean, how do we now, in this modern day, how do we brand the police in terms of our investigation capabilities? How do we enhance our investigation capability so that modern crimes that are being committed, we are on par with it? By this time, we should even start DNA, accumulating DNA. We should have a database for DNA. At the airport, anytime somebody land in Liberia, they must be fingerprinted, and that goes into our DNA database. This is the way. These are the way we can try to deal with crime in our country. Every border, point of entry in Liberia, there must be a place for DNA, for taking people DNA and then feed that into a national database system. And then time for voting, all right, when people go vote, they should also be fingerprinted to build that into the DNA process. So when this kind of thing happen, it makes it a little bit easier, you know, to solve the problem. But where are we? We're not thinking of anything. I'm not even sure the little boy we are talking about in question, whether there was specimen found in his whether there was any DNA testing to show that the accused are actually the perpetrators. So it's it's when you think about solving Liberia problem, I think we are our own problem, because if we were solving this issue step by step, we will get somewhere. And because the lack of accountability, we put people to position. They say, "Oh, the IG of Liberia Police, he's an Harvard trained. He was there. What innovation? This guy served under the Madam Selling government. Now he is the director of police. What is the innovation that has he taken there? What are some of the modernization he's taking to the police to solve crime?" I'm not getting you.
I actually held this guy in high esteem, right? Because during the process of the drafting of the police, yes, during the process of the drafting of the police act, this guy was advocating. At the time he was police director, he was advocating an independent police, right? Because police the police more or less is being politicized. So he was advocating an independent police that wouldn't have their hands tied. So I really thought that this guy has, the appetite and the passion to ensure that the police operates with integrity and professionalism. So I was very happy that this guy was sent to the police. I was so happy that this guy was sent to the police. But it turns out that he's not doing very well. He's not doing very well. When he becomes a partisan police, especially with the case of the the burning of the Capitol building, he become a partisan police. That is terrible. When you you engage in arts, I mean, there are several instances where the police will go on the UL campus to hit on the students. The campus should be a terrain that police don't easily enter. At least that is what it used to be. The sanctity of the campus used to be respected. Few times police went on the campus, but that was on a dictatorial regime. I'm not sure whether police entered the campus during the George Weah administration.
For Akaro's grade.
Yes, but Akara's grade did enter the UL campus and you know did buy, and that stigma is with him forever. But this police director supposed to drive the police to the point of professionalism. Say for example, he came back, he's police director. There is one fellow called Sam Collins who was police spokesman when he was police director. The lady uh, who was the police spokesperson while he was police director this time around, Cecilia Clark. He called Sam Collins back to the police, placed him at a particular position with the intent of bringing him back to be police spokesperson. And because of that, this lady went under a lot of harassment until she got swapped with Sam Collins. So Sam Collins went to a particular, I mean, to her position, and they sent her to his position. But they made some errors with respect to the letters that they presented to her. So she capitalized on the errors that they made, and then she resigned the position. She resigned the position. The reason why I'm saying this is because the police still remains vulnerable under this guy. He is not showing the sun this he's not showing this culture, this practice of independence. How can somebody who was previously outside of the police just come back into the police and then go to becoming police spokesperson? Is I don't know whether the police spokesperson position is a civilian position. Many times the people have been treating it that way, but I think it was not so before the war, because prior to the war, there was a strong or career ladder structure within the police. So you can just come from outside and just jump into a particular position in the police, you know. So this is the situation that we have on hand, and the police doesn't seem to be very professional as we would expect. And we see a lot of of pictures, videos on Facebook about police, brutality and all those sort of things. And those are very wrong things. There are a lot of people, police shooting and killing of innocent citizens that happen under this administration, which we have to take some time to really look at. But I don't really appreciate the police director and how he is conducting the police. There is still one thing in the police, that independence that we all crave for.
You said it. Oh, I mean, every time we blame all this stuff now on the wall been over long since. You know, people have come to build the system, but we ourselves, because we have not changed. And if I may borrow from the brilliance of Lawrence Comlan, Bropler, change in attitude. I mean, change in mind, change in attitude. We have not refined our mind. The Bible talk about a renewed mind. You know, All thing has passed away. Let's renew our mind. When we renew our mind, and then we can think positively. But we still click onto that. We eat in Liberia. Uh, uh, that man, I'm told he came from Minnesota. I don't know where he went to the police academy. He think he came for further training. They say he's one of the best, but he had to demonstrate the innovation that he brings to the table. All right.
There are information that he even came from the Taylor or the MPFL.
Okay. All right. In this 21st century, you need to do the best, do both. Sometimes I think about the whole leadership thing in Liberia. I think the problem of leadership, people are not coming to the leadership to make an impact in terms of feeling the the, the empathizing with the suffering people, and that because of their problem, and that because you are connected with them, you want to help them. And so the only way you can help them is to ascend to that level to make that change. Because you and I, we can make a little change. We can't make much change, But if you give us the country, then we can make, an elaborate change in the life of the people. But of what I've seen is people ascend to power just for the name. I am the president. I want to build for my family, just for the record's sake. But it's not because they really feel the people pain and they want to change the people's situation. Otherwise, we would not be here, at this time. Since the war ended, 12 years of Unity Party, 18 years of CDC, another 6 more years coming, we stay at that same level. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Unity Party says here we part, another people will come with the same thing. Somebody will get to the police, the same problem. And where is the advancement as a country? Where are we going? What we doing? Yeah, the little boy is in hospital. We're not sure whether the mother got the resources. I wish the platform was, so large that we could even appeal to the public to give helping hand to her in terms of the little boy. She need to be flown out of that country to seek a better medical attention, because we don't know the financial status of the family, and the little boy is struggling, he's in pain, and justice is not being served. It's bad. It's bad. And they're supposed to claim the attention of the government, you know. It should claim the attention of the government. And no child should go, no child should do that. That those kind of things, I mean, we cannot condone them in our society. Girls are being girls are being gang raped, boys are being sodomized, gang rape. Why these are happening? Why? The very first time the justice minister should have had a press conference. Even up to now, they should be briefing the family and the public where the case is. Where are we in terms of this situation? It shouldn't be a secret. All right. The information minister or the minister of information does not necessarily have to speak to this kind of thing. The police, the justice ministry, because they are taking care, they should speak to the public. And that's why they have the police spokesperson.
Definitely. I don't know, but this is this is an issue for concern. Maybe we can give it another day to speak to it. The general issue of rape in the country and how the police is handling this case is very important, and that we follow this case to the limit. We have to make sure that justice is served, and whosoever supposed to be involved, the advocacy groups in the country. I learned the mother was calling on the council of churches and other people. We know that you're not supposed to get involved with cases that are in court, so to speak, but we can equally advocate for justice to be uh, speedy, because if justice is not speedy, speedy trial is part of the requirement for justice to be served, because justice delayed is equally justice denied. So speedy trial is always important, and we can put our foot on the ground and say we need speedy trial. We need speedy trial. So, come, I'll just let you to close up, and then we can, call it a day.
Yeah, thank you, Combre. I think it was interesting conversation. We need to help our people to elevate some of this conversation, and we appeal to the power that be, all its apparatus, the institutions that are concerned, the Ministry of Justice, the police, always put a situation, always flip the situation around. If I were in that shoe, if what happened to this child, if that were my child, how I would have felt, even to the president, if one of his children were in that situation, how would he have felt? So let the human attitude get in us. And what happens to one citizen in that country must claim the attention of the government, because the government was elected not for themselves. They were elected to be, to take care of the Liberian people, especially a child, an innocent child that has been abused, that is now going through excruciating pain, especially a country like Liberia, where apparently the mother doesn't even, she's not even she may not even be employed, she may not even have the first resources to take care of this boy. And not to get attention. I think it is not okay for our contemporary democracy. I think the police need to do, need to move, the court system need to move, the government need to step in, whatever help they can give to that lady. In the meantime, we will, it will be a good thing to intervene so that the little boy's situation can be stabilized while the proceedings, are taking place, and the perpetrators can be, for justice to be served. So we encourage all of the key players in this matter to coordinate and work together so that justice can be given to these people and the little boy, and that's the kind of country we want, and that's what we look forward to. Thank you, Comrade, for the time.
Thank you, Comrade Kofa, and we would like to call it a day. But before we leave, this is what I'd like to remind or leave everyone with. Tonight, this is not politics, and this is not party color, green or blue. This is not about government versus opposition. This is about a child. This is about a mother, and this is about justice. A 15-year-old boy lies in recovery after being brutally sodomized. A mother is crying for fairness, and our nation is watching. The Bible says in Proverbs 31, 8 to 9, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, defend the rights of the poor and needy. And that is why we come on this show today, to make sure that we join forces with those who are on the ground and speaking up for justice. That command is not optional, it is a moral duty for every Liberian. So if you are a Liberian and you are on the ground or you are in the diaspora, look at the case of this little boy in Liberia. Look at the case of his family. They may not have all of the money. The family should not stand alone. We should stand with them. We must rally, not with violence, not with chaos, but with clarity and conscience. Justice in Liberia cannot depend on status. It cannot depend on how influential you are. It cannot also bend because someone holds power. There is a famous guy in the 80s in the Doe administration called Jenkins Scott. His last days were terrible, but he was a very powerful man. Now, if a crime is alleged, it must be investigated thoroughly. We should not use our authority to brush away crimes and treat the victim as just another person. If evidence exists, it must be presented transparently, and if charges are warranted, they must proceed without delay. Today in our country, we have a situation where people have been victimized and justice is delayed. Let us pay attention to what is obtaining in Liberia, and let us rally to the call of the family and say we stand by you. This has been a wonderful time with Professor Kofa and I. We may not have provided all of what you wanted to listen to, but look at the fact that we want to make one call that the Liberian people should identify with the family of the victim and make sure that they rally with them and call for justice collectively. This has been a Vote 24 TV presentation under the Kakis Dialogue, and see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.